what are the biggest headlines when you've got, your 60 seconds or, you got your 10 minutes at the meeting and you're like, okay, here's the key things you guys need to know about Nextgen. Where do you typically go with that?
The three big areas, one is a trust. We've been looking at the development of distrust with millennials over the last 3 years. We started seeing this kind of creeping up where millennials and Gen Z are less trusting of professionals. And initially, I thought this was just in the mortgage industry, and it's because millennials entered adulthood during or right after the financial crisis. So there's just that we were ingrained with this. But what we found was if you take a look outside of the industry, there's less trust in all different industries, from healthcare, media, across the board, government. And so that's just a new era that we live in, and we can dig into that. This year's report that we released a month ago, we found that over half say that they don't trust lenders to help them make smart decisions about their future. And then the second category would be around knowledge and financial literacy. We've done full research projects on that topic itself, but we find that over half say that they don't feel confident in their knowledge of personal finance or home buying. And then the third category is brand new, but a stat that I'm starting to bring up from this year's report, that we found that over half said that they don't feel confident that homeownership is accessible to the next generation. And the reason that's so important is just that, we're seeing more and more, even in my news feed itself and on Instagram or TikTok, people are joking about the fact that homeownership is just not accessible. And people are kind of despairing over that. And so I feel like that's important for us to understand where we're starting from, and then give them that knowledge and help them build trust with the pathway to accessing homeownership.
Okay, I wrote those down. Trust, knowledge, and with the knowledge, it's the fact that they lack some of the knowledge, which means they don't feel confident, and then they don't see a path forward for homeownership. They don't see that necessarily as accessible.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that you also, because I've been following you long enough to remember that when that trust thing came out, yeah, the data at that time you thought was pointing towards the fact that they grew up during the whole financial meltdown and parents lost their homes and all that. However, that speaks to the larger narrative of what's happening in the country, is that the trust has eroded and continued to erode, right, for the last decade or so, right? I mean, overall,
Yeah.
that's what you found.
Yeah.
So
In fact, the Edelman Trust Barometer, which measures trust across the world, they found that we fell as a country below 50% in trust for the first time, just I think in 2021 and or 2022. And so, and that trust barometer has dropped 10 percentage points since 2017.